What is going on, everyone? Scions here with the Everyday Grind. Today, I'm going to talk about why I think Final Fantasy XIV Online is underrated and has been underrated for years. And it has nothing to do with the fact that a bunch of Warcraft players are swooping in because of everything happened over there at Activision Blizzard. The game has been underrated by players for years, and we're going to go into why. And we can talk about that every day except Thursday and Sunday on Twitch. And please like, subscribe, leave a comment, and ring that notification bell right here on my YouTube channel. Final Fantasy XIV Online. It's underrated. Let's go. Why is Final Fantasy XIV underrated? As far as MMOs go, there has been only one MMO that has stood out, World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft has been in the top MMO spot for many years. I've played World of Warcraft exclusively for 12 years, streamed it exclusively for 2 years, and for most of those years, the mantra has been, Warcraft is the best MMO out there and no other game can touch it. Oh, how things have changed, my friends. This is not a Warcraft bashing video, and I may make some side comparisons between Final Fantasy XIV and other games. But this is a video of why we've all been missing out on Final Fantasy XIV and what I've learned in my 5 months of playing. Let me start by saying that I've dismissed Final Fantasy XIV for years. I've always thought it was a second-class game due to the anime-themed art, which I did not like, and the 2.5-second global cooldown on active abilities, which I did not like. Usually ranked at the number 2 or 3 spot in top 5 or top 10 MMO games and YouTube videos, or generally dismissed by Warcraft players, Final Fantasy XIV has been overlooked as a viable MMO that players should seek out to play. Let me repeat that. Final Fantasy XIV has been overlooked as a viable MMO that players should seek out to play. After being asked 2 years ago by my viewers, hey Scions, you should check out Final Fantasy XIV. I did. I took a couple of streams and I played it. I did not let myself get past how I felt about the look and feel of the game compared to Warcraft. Quite frankly, I was just going through the motions for my stream and was very close-minded to the change. Another issue, and this is the secret sauce, with Warcraft is that I had played Warcraft for years and felt obligated to play since I had spent so much time in the game, but no king rules forever. Fast forward 2 years later, April of this year, long before all of the legal action against Activision Blizzard, where we started seeing droves of Warcraft players jumping into Final Fantasy, I found myself not liking the interaction of the Warcraft community, to include some of the groups I was in. The content was stale at best, as we've done all of the same actions to gear up, run our Mythic Plus for the week, complete your raids every week, do the same dailies every day, and that's every expansion. I finally decided to jump into Final Fantasy more and more every day. I found that not only did I like it, my viewers liked it. More of my viewers started playing it, and I was encouraged by what I found in the game. Here's a few things I learned about Final Fantasy XIV and realized it was underrated. Storytelling, as you see here. Storytelling is the greatest thing in the game. It's very, very good. I will say that the Realm Reborn storyline was a bit dull, and it's a slogfest of quests, and it's the true first grind of the game. But after finishing a Realm Reborn and getting into Heavensward, the story exploded with great characters, great plot twists, and I was not prepared for the sheer amount of cutscenes, which I'm a big fan of. The amount of work that went into the story is obvious, and it didn't stop with Heavensward. Each expansion, the story got better. The only thing I could think of was that I was tired of Alphinaud by the time it was done, and I'm still tired of Alphinaud. When I finished the MSQ main storyline earlier this week, I felt like I had accomplished something. I felt like I had been in those adventures myself. I imagined myself just like my character who had the strength and bravery to save the world a little bit at a time and was now exhausted. I've never had a game make me feel that way. Overall gameplay and questing, much different than in other MMOs I played. Meaningful crafting and housing are a huge part of this game. The Elder Scrolls Online has these ingrained into their gameplay as well, but not as deep as Final Fantasy XIV. Warcraft's dismal crafting system and no player housing offers players who do not engage in in-game content less to do in each expansion. Final Fantasy XIV's questing and leveling is so deep, I haven't even gotten into any crafting or housing. This is exactly what being immersed in an MMO should feel like. Also, being able to have one character complete every single job or class in the game, you can be whatever you want to be in the game, is a huge plus, as well as you can do all the crafting in the game. You can do every single one of those crafting jobs. Other games use the meaningful choice buzzword as a way of controlling what they are going to either put in the game for the player or control how the player will play the game. I would think that if a game company understood their players, they would allow the player a meaningful choice, and the player would decide what class they would play and what crafting they wanted to do. Final Fantasy XIV has allowed players to do as much or as little as they want in this regard. I consider this the correct decision for an MMO. While I was questing, gone were the go out and kill 10 lizard quests, where the mobs look the same for 40 levels, with the exception of having the mob appear a different color due to the level of the quest, and you had to do it, 6 to 8 times. Instead, there were kill and collect quests in the game, but they were done in a much more personal way. You had a full story behind each quest for the most part, and usually you only had to kill 3 to 6 of anything to complete these. I found that the 2.5 second global cooldown on active abilities was not as intrusive as I thought, as I learned I could weave other abilities in between. The biggest thing, I never felt rushed to get to the end of the expansion, the end of the storyline. Other games have a rush, go theme to their game. I do not miss any of that, as I feel you should be considered a valued player without hitting max item level, and have the best equipment in the game on day 2 of the expansion release. I noticed there were not massive amounts of add-ons for the game like in other games. One of the most important add-ons I believe in the game is changing what you see on the screen, or the HUD. The HUD in this game has been made so you can adjust where all of the information on your screen is placed. Again, like I said, this action is usually an add-on or an overlay in most games. It's already in the game. Tracking add-ons for boss abilities is also a mainstay for most MMOs, but not here. Square Enix has thoughtfully put one in the game, and you can move it by, you ready for this? Clicking on the HUD display that's already in the game and moving it where you want it. A great example of Square Enix listening to their players. I was also surprised with how well flying was done in the game. It wasn't time-gated behind a quote-unquote, we don't want you to have flying until we think you played the game long enough mindset. It's the wrong thing. You were able to go out, collect ether nodes in the open world, and finish the quests that had ether nodes to receive flying. Some may say that having some of these ether nodes locked behind quests is gating. I believe that this is what I would call a small sacrifice and the correct amount of gating, as I believe you should at least finish the storyline to gain the perk of flying. Let's talk about the community. This community has been the absolute best in my opinion. Respect given to new players is by far the best I've seen. Some games come very close to Final Fantasy XIV. The Elder Scrolls Online being a game that has a pretty great community. Warcraft, not even close to having a great community. New players are made fun of, they're kicked out of groups for not knowing mechanics, or they're inspected and the person heading the run notices they're in the wrong cookie cutter spec, kicks them out of the run. None of this is a part of Final Fantasy XIV, as the community understands that if you want to grow your game community, you have to help the new players and make sure they're comfortable, make sure they understand what's going on, make sure they're accepted. I will not tell you that there are no toxic players in Final Fantasy XIV, nor will I tell you that players will not leave a dungeon or a raid because it's taking too long. What I will tell you is that those experiences are extremely rare. Players do not allow other players to bash someone in a dungeon or a raid just because they don't know something. Those players are usually removed out of those runs. I have had several interactions in a dungeon or raid where I messed up and the players just told me not to worry and then explained what I missed. Also, as I've attracted new viewers to my stream, I've had experienced players tell me, hey Scions, don't stand there, or hey Scions, use your cooldowns here, but politely, respectfully. I was even gifted a coveted mount from a viewer who said, welcome to the game. Check your DMs. I've given you something. You will not find this kindness in other MMOs as a general rule. If you take the story, overall gameplay, and community and really think about it, Final Fantasy XIV has been underrated for a long time. Sure, it had a rocky start, but they have overcome those early days, and fast forward to today, they are smashing expectations. I find that I enjoy my time in the game more and more and I find I want to spend more time in the game than I have time for. My overall thoughts are I've wasted some time on other games in the same genre when I should have been more open-minded to a different game, this game. Final Fantasy XIV is great, it's here to stay, and there's more game to play November 23rd of this year as the Endwalker expansion begins, and I can't wait. That's it for me, everyone. Hop into my live streams on Twitch every day except Thursday and Sunday, and please like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you know when I've uploaded more YouTube content. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.